Hey y'all, welcome to Curry Gumbo, the podcast where Nicole and Ashley discuss black film and TV.
Today we are talking about Thea, sitcom titled Thea, lasted only one season from 93 to 94. I think it was just 19 episodes. Starring Thea Vidal, who was a stand-up comedian and actress, and she is the first African American female comedian to have a TV series named after her, The Thea Show, which starring her, Brandy, Jason Weaver, Yvette Wilson, and we see that Brandy and Yvette Wilson went on to Moesha after this show. This was Brandy before braids.
I do remember the show. I do. I feel like I caught reruns of it. I'm sure, because I wasn't waiting up
I mean,
like,
we were
ooh, that
young,
new Thea about to
but
come out, because I didn't know Thea
yeah,
before the show. But I'm sure we were way too young
yes,
to. I don't know, because when I was
I
young, I
watched
was up
Comic
watching
View.
Comic View.
No, but I'm thinking of
I was up watching the children,
I
and I used to watch Def Comedy Jam.
I mean, she could have been. I
Was
don't
she
know.
on any of that? I just don't remember seeing her.
I don't really remember the show too much. I kind of do. I it didn't. It wasn't in heavy rotation that I remember. It's like you kind of saw it, and then it.
No.
You was lucky if you did. Um,
Did you laugh out loud at this show?
Not really.
Do you laugh out loud at first
Not all the
glance?
time.
Martin. So you just don't laugh out loud.
I don't know.
What shows do
Maybe
you laugh
Abbott
out
Elementary.
loud at?
That's funny. The principal is funny.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
Janine, or her little innocent self.
That is a fool.
And all of them are funny. Even Shirley Ralph.
Everybody's really funny. Everybody's really funny.
This kind of reminded me in a way of Raven's Home. You probably ain't seen it. But because Raven...
Yeah, I don't do that. But I
because
did watch
Raven
one
is
episode
funny.
and I did laugh out loud.
And how she interacts with those kids, she kind of reminds me of, I guess, the type of mom Thea was. It's like she's strict, but it's like still fun, but still gonna get things done. And so I'm like, okay, I can see this kind of reminds me of Raven's Home in a way of just being like, okay, I can have fun, we can laugh, but I'm still your mama. We still strict. Even Raven's Home, I think she had like a couple jobs. I know she was doing a ride share for a minute and doing her fashion. And so I do see those similarities. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like the dynamic.
Yeah, I like the show. There is an element of concern, like an element of sadness, because she's a widower. She's a widow, and I don't think we in the first episode you get the extent, like you get what has happened. We don't get the details about how her husband has passed on.
Yeah, because they don't seem like they're grieving.
I'm assuming that there has been a little bit of time in between that. Yeah, and the older son, Junior, seems to really be taking up like he's going to be the paternal presence in the home. He comes home and like hands her $25. So there is a sense that we know that money is an issue. We're not up at night crying about it, but it's an issue because what high school boy is coming home putting money in his mama pocket if he ain't worried that she needs money. You know what I'm saying? So, but Jerome
Nope.
and the baby boy, like they ain't worried about no money.
He's
Jerome
trying to
at the
get
damn
them games
arcade.
in.
So right. So there's not so there is that element of sadness in the background, but it's not the focal point, at least not for the show. I guess, for this pilot episode, they're really setting the tone. And so I like that. I think they got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of information out in a short amount of time. Like, who all your players are. Up front, you got the sister like, you a widow working two jobs. And I was like, man, that was like, they were like, got that information out, you know. So yeah, and it's been enough time to where the sister isn't, because Thea is gonna go to a funeral, and there is a man at who they expect to see at the funeral who has a bit of a crush on
Yeah,
Thea.
to act on it, yeah.
And the sister feels like it's not
Mm-hmm.
inappropriate for her to go on a date. That's what it seems like. So we know that
Right.
there's some time, right? Because if the husband just passed a month ago, we wouldn't be making jokes about Thea going on a
And then
date.
we got Denisha going on her date to the library.
Mm.
Why do you think the show got canceled? You think it was just because there was no eye candy? That was it?
Not just because of that. I mean, we got a black cast. You ain't seen nobody white yet. This how they do black people.
Yeah.
Because again, Grace Under Fires and Reba show this same shit. I I don't know. I mean, I think it didn't give me anything where I'm like, I got to come back and see how this is. I mean, I think I'm so used to shows now giving me that cliffhanger energy. There's that like explosion of energy that like it's just not.
Mm.
I don't think this show has this it factor.
Thought she would
And
be.
I don't think Thea was the it factor that people like could really
You were
catch
like,
on to.
yeah.
But I bet if I watched her stand up, I bet it would be laughed the fuck out loud. And I bet it probably. I'm wondering if her
What
comedy
about
is a little bit more
Roseanne
R rated.
as a show? Because that's a comedian in the family setting. What was special about? Yeah, so it's because she white.
A white comedian.
Yeah.
So you got it. Like Roseanne probably had a whole different set of writers. Who's writing on Thea?
What about Moesha?
Another set of writers. And I think black shows probably found a bit of a groove, And you had the eye candy.
Hakeem, no, Hakeem was the neighbor. Q was her boy, was her boyfriend. Yeah. And when she started dating Ohaji, Merlin Santana.
I don't remember that.
Merlin Santana was on every 90s show. He was everybody's boyfriend. He was Rudy Huxtable's boyfriend, Moesha's boyfriend, everybody's boyfriend. He was everybody's boyfriend.
Oh,
that's his role. Boyfriend.
Wasn't he on Sister?
Boyfriend number 2. That's his role. I was going to say Jason Weaver, the hardest working kid in the 90s. He on.
Listen, he said,
he on
I gotta go
every
to work.
show.
I ain't got time for the playground. I have to go to work. I am Simba.
I am Michael
Simba.
Jackson.
Do you understand me?
He Michael Jackson.
Oh, girl, how did I forget? He is Michael Jackson. He is Simba. Okay? He and in that show, The Smart Guy, that nigga deserved an Emmy. He was so funny in that show. Because he was the dumb one. And it was, I remember this one scene where he figured something out, probably by mistake, and the little boy was like, "Oh my gosh, you're a genius!" And he was like, "That's what I've been trying to tell y'all."
Jason Weaver, the
Yes.
hardest working kid ever in the 90s. Let's see, what else can we say about Thea? Or just this show in general, or just, do you think she represented like the typical 90s mom TV show mom, black mom? No.
No, no. I mean, most of the moms, it didn't focus on them working. I mean, I think in the pilot episode, we just
Yeah.
know that she has two jobs, and but the focus is on the children. So I like that. I mean, it was a mixture of like, I got to get this money, but also like, I'm a loving mother. What I really liked was that everybody kind of has their, Junior has two, he he has two jobs now, and Thea doesn't want him
Mhm.
to have two jobs because he's doing one of the jobs on his lunch break at school, and she's like, "You need to be a kid, don't worry about having a job." Jerome um lied and said he would be studying geography when really he's at the arcade, and Denisha is gonna go on a date, and the little baby boy is making fun of Denisha for liking this guy. And so Jerome sneaks out again to go to the arcade, even though he's not supposed to. And when
Yeah.
Thea picks him up, she lets him finish the arcade game. Then she brings him home, and she's explaining to her older son, the reason why I didn't embarrass him is because I'm not going to be that type of parent who's going to embarrass her son in front of his friends. And I was like, I like that. I think that
Mhm.
there Thea is a woman of size. She is a little, she's brown skinned, some might consider her dark skinned. And so you might think of her as an aggressive person. I know some people like look. I remember I was at some summer camp, and I was like, "Oh yeah, there's my mom there." And this girl was like, "Oh yeah, she looks mean." And I was like, like, cuz my
Mhm.
mom, like, she was very playful with us. When she was mad, you knew she was mad. But I was like, I
They
want,
probably would have thought something
as I got
different.
older, I was
Yeah, they would have
like,
thought
had
different.
my mom been some light skinned lady and skinny, you wouldn't have said that. So I really like that. Like, there's never, I don't feel a threat of violence the way like people would assume a
Would be.
a heavy set black woman single mom. Hey y'all, hope you enjoyed the show. Hit us up on Instagram at Curry Gumbo. Hope to see you next week. Bye.